Welcome, survivors, to episode 5 of Ark Highlights. In today's episode, we are discussing the building of Ark, and in a channel first, I am joined by not one, but two guests. So let's meet them. Can he fix it? He usually can. It's Danny.
Hello.
And welcome back. Do you want to encapsulate that picturesque view by building in glass? Yes, he's an expert in all things see-through. It's William.
Hello.
And welcome back to you. So, there is a particular reason why all three of us are here today, but between us all, we actually cover all the different building types that Ark has to offer. Now, everyone builds in thatch at first, but first chance you get, you turn it into wood, and you never see thatch again. So we won't be covering thatch in great detail like all the others, but it is important to acknowledge that it does exist.
It is important because it does take some time to get wood.
And it is the first thing you'll ever be building out of, so, you know.
It is your first protection.
If you can call that protection anyway.
Well,
yes. Somehow it doesn't burn down.
Yeah, you put a campfire in the middle and somehow, set a light to the entire thing.
Ark logic. Ark logic. You don't burn the whole thing down. So I think this is going to be a good point to talk about all of our individual building types that we build in regularly. So we will start in some form of order. That makes sense. I don't know. Random order. Danny, we'll start with you.
Oh, great.
Talk about your favourite building types.
I don't have a favourite, but I have a dislike. Everything I use apart from tech. I don't like tech.
Amen, brother. Amen.
I tend to keep, once I've gone through thatch, which on our server doesn't take that long, I tend to keep with wood quite a bit. And I build the whole thing in wood. And then when I've pretty much built everything inside, fixtures and fittings and whatever, I then transfer it to stone and maybe Adobe. I don't really go for metal. I only go for metal on one because it's in a metal mine. But generally,
and that was absolutely amazing. Just to say, the metal build that he did is absolutely amazing.
It tends to be. What I tend to use is wood, stone, and Adobe. Obviously, I don't use stone on Scorch because we tend to cook. So I use Adobe there, but then I incorporate Adobe and wood and glass with it all, really. It's just I very rarely use tech, and I don't really use metal a lot. But no.
This is tech the structures, not tech the features, because obviously we do use the tech generators for convenience.
Well, yeah.
But just to say.
Yeah, I don't use tech for structures, no, as in buildings, because I don't really like it. It's okay. It does what it's supposed to on the tin, I suppose, but generally, no, it's not a building material I like to use.
William.
Yoth.
How about your favoured building material?
I think the intro
we've already
sort of made it quite obvious.
I think it did too.
I prefer to have great big sections of glass. Although glass is very breakable, as in it will break even easier than thatch. It does let me look out onto the lovely maps that I like. I like getting good views. I'll always pick a spot because it's pretty rather than anything else. Doesn't matter, I've got to walk 5 miles to get to the nearest iron mine. You know, at least the view's pretty when I finally get home again. So,
although again, our server does protect glass more than anything else.
but still, if I mean, I've had it when I was trying to build my first glass tower. I had a geezer come in and literally rip me to shreds and everything in my base because obviously one nozzle and that was it. The entire glass wall was down, and I had 0 protection.
The only downside with glass and Adobe is they do take a lot of ingredients to build.
Glass isn't a lot of ingredients, it's more the fact that there's more inconvenient ingredients.
Yeah, okay.
Glass is cement and paste, metal and crystal, and obviously crystal is very rare on the majority of maps.
I think what I meant is that the cementing paste you have to make as well. That's what I meant.
Yeah. There's a process. You have to make the cementing paste.
It's
well,
like
I stole it all from Beavers, but the Beavers funded my glass tower.
But with Adobe, you have to pretty much the same sort of thing. You have to make clay, and then you make the wall. You know.
But Adobe is quite expensive, just as a rule, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, Adobe is quite
quick looking our thing, an Adobe foundation is clay, fibre, thatch, and wood.
Yeah. But you've got to make the clay first.
Clay. Yeah, and the clay is the most of it. It's like 80 clay to make one foundation, and
yeah,
when you consider
it is quite expensive.
Clay itself isn't, easy to come by. I mean,
no, it's not.
It's cactus, sap, and sand, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, this is where sort of where Ragnarok sort of on our map, where they have more crystal and they have more of they've got more beavers, so the Ragnarok has been more built to more towards those resources to bolster that fact.
Oh, it definitely helps if you use the command. Let's put it that way. It definitely helps doing that. But if you have to build it from scratch,
so
Adobe and glass can be expensive.
To get clay, you're looking at 4 cactus sap to 8 sand. Cement and paste for your glass structures is 16 chitin or keratin to 32 stone, and when you think you've got to gather that either by dinosaur or by hand, it's still going to take a while to get the resources together to be able to build what you need to build.
I was suggesting gathering it by hand. I never was mentioned admin commands. Although
yes, but I did say on our server, if you don't have a server, then you have to do it by hand.
Yes. I mean, on ours, yes, but I mean, Ragnarok has also has more resource points because it's a free map than the usual DLCs.
Yeah, but the problem is with Ragnarok is if you're doing it by hand, there's a lot of distance to travel. Like, say, if your house is in the desert for a start, yes, you can get the Adobe from the desert because that's where it's supposed to be. But if you wanted to put glass in there isn't a lot of crystal in the desert. You've got to go quite a way to find the crystal.
Well, let's be fair, Adobe was introduced during Scorched Earth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And of course, it's designed to keep you cool in the heat.
Yeah, you can survive on Scorched with wood and thatch, but as soon as you go to stone, that's it. It just gets too hot and you just can't survive. So basically, when you're on Scorched, just forget stone completely and go thatch, wood, and Adobe. Basically.
Or tech. Tech is a good one.
But tech is again is later stage, and you have to ascend to get that. And
Yeah.
Oh, tech is more complicated. I mean, let's face it. I'm the only one here who builds in tech, out of all of us. Even on our server, out of all of us, I'm the only one who builds in tech.
Rachel's.
Yeah, Rachel has built in tech, the farm,
yeah,
branch, even.
tech is the most expensive of all. To get a tech wall, you're looking at 15 crystal, one element, an element the pain in the ass to get on official servers, 35 metal,
and the black pearls, which is even more difficult to get
and
hold of.
not to build a tech
Just
wall.
imagine if you were grinding and you got to tech, how difficult a tech wall would be to build.
Yes,
according to the.
it's very difficult.
Yeah.
According to the tech is very difficult if I was grinding. I'm sure.
So yeah, I'm saying 20 polymer, 35 metal, one element, and 15 crystal to build one tech wall.
And you can only get element by doing the boss
battles.
And you get how much by boss battle? I think it was 6 element, wasn't it?
We didn't get a lot when we last did it, did we? It was like 6 or 7.
You
I mean, you would literally be doing boss battles every day.
You'd have to, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
3 or 4
just
days.
to build a wall.
Yeah.
That's where I think if you're grinding, it falls down because
tech is just not a viable
solution
if you're not playing in creative.
The only, as I said when we were grinding, or years ago when we were grinding, and when we did get to tech, then we found out that we have to do the boss battles so much just to build in tech, just to get.
It was after our first boss battle, wasn't it, Danny?
Yeah.
We're like, all right, we've got to the stage because obviously we grinded up. But like, right, we're at the stage now where we can get tech. So let's go do this boss battle, and surely we'll get plenty of element from the boss battles.
And then you realise how much you get, and then
then we've got like 8, and we're like, hold on,
this is going to take a long time.
To just power a tech generator, I'm going to be able to do a boss battle a day.
Yeah, you are. The ironic thing is, if you go into a boss battle without the tech suit, you're going to die. Simple as that. Aren't you?
No, we've done it on, like, you can do it on the riot stuff and that. I mean, what's the next one down
the
from
riot
tech?
stuff, I think, needs element, doesn't it? If I remember right.
No, riot gear. No, riot. The only thing that's need element are the tech.
Stuff.
Our tech. Our tech tier items.
But that's why I gave everybody tech suits at the beginning, because it was so impossible to do the boss fight to get the minimum, and you need the tech, you needed the element to even power the suit, didn't you? And it just seemed ridiculous.
So apart from tech,
the whole game is viable until you get to tech, because then if you're grinding, it becomes pointless, because all you're doing every day is going into a boss fight every day just to keep.
And that's
running.
that's only if you're on PvP. Because let's be fair, if you're on PvP, you also got to worry about your base being raised while you're away.
Exactly.
Boss fight to power all your stuff.
Exactly. And
you don't have to worry about your base being raided while you're away.
No,
on PvP,
but that's where I think Ark falls down. When you get to a level 100 and you get the tech and you think, yeah, I've got there. But it's such a drag, such a hard task just to keep everything going, because you got the tech.
The electric car of Ark.
Yeah.
Really good idea.
But this is
that's not the infrastructure.
But this is why I think we succeed on how we run things.
Oh, yeah.
To counteract that drag down.
I'm sure a lot of people do the same as we do.
Well, but you can imagine, innit?
just imagine if you didn't know about all that text, all the commands and everything like that.
Or you
Because
didn't have access.
let's face it, Wildcard don't tell you anything,
Well, they
right?
wouldn't, would they?
So,
No.
so if you played it, like if some Joe Blogs went down game and picked up a game of Ark, right? Put it into his machine and started playing it. Yeah, I like survival, yeah. And he builds up, he's grinding, and he doesn't know anything about cheat codes, right?
Admin commands.
Admin commands, whatever. Right? He's gonna get this person's gonna get to a level 100, and yes, he can get to tech, and yeah, but he can't do anything because it's such a task just to get anything.
I think this is
and
why
that-
we're such a great advertisement for servers for convenience,
And that's where I think the game falls down, because it would take you so long to do anything in tech, and
It
that's why I don't.
Tech does have its advantages, though.
Yes, it does.
Let's go back to positive.
Yeah,
Tech does have
yeah.
its advantage. It's one
Yes.
indestructible. No dino
Yeah.
in the world is going to be able to break through your wall when you're in tech.
There's a very small list of dinos that can touch it.
In addition to Titanosaur, I thought.
A handful. There's a handful now because of the Genesis Part 2 creatures. There's
the doors
on-
open by
only tech
themselves.
only tech tier weapons can touch it. It's the smallest list in the world of things that can defeat itself.
But
So-
the important thing is doors open and close by themselves, so you know.
Yeah.
No
I
one's
mean,
leaving
and
the
not
gate
only
open.
and not only that, it's protection against every single form of weather. So if you're in the snow, you can build tech and you're protected from the snow. If you're in the scorched earth, you're protected from the extreme heat. So at the same
but
end of it, you get everything.
yes, it's got its advantages, but the main disadvantage is it would be such a nightmare to get that gate and keep that gate running. If you're grinding.
Unofficial, yes. Unofficial, yes.
If you're grinding, you've got no hope of. Well, you can do it, but it's just. I think you'd get really cheesed off of it eventually.
Do you need?
If you were grinding.
Of course, if you were grinding and you wouldn't want to build in tech because you realise how expensive it would be to do so, the next stage under that is metal, which is a fairly good material. I personally don't like the look of metal, but it's a fairly robust material and not much can get through it either. It hasn't got a stupid amount of, resources to get it.
No.
By the time you got to metal, you'll be, sitting pretty.
Yeah,
With
once you're grinded and you've got to metal, and then you've got
There you go.
everything, you get up to level 99, say, you're okay. If you want to do that push to 100 to get tech, which they dangle the carrot in front of you, you've got to be prepared to really, if you're grinding, you've got to be prepared for a lot of work.
Yeah, and it's silly because metal is only 15 cemented plates and 50 ingots for one foundation.
Exactly.
Which
is possible.
it sounds a lot to the average player, but
in the rocks, you could get 50 metal out of the rocks. Easily.
Yeah. Once you've got yourself the appropriate harvesting dinosaurs, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah. But unfortunately, they dangle that level 100 over there to get tech. And I think if you're a normal Joe Blogs grinding, I personally would say don't bother with tech unless you're prepared to put a lot of work in.
There are some maps that Element does come naturally to now.
Well, the good news is they have made the tech dinos. which give you element dust,
which can be turned to element in the tech replicators.
can be turned to element.
And Genesis Part 2, there's one particular planet in which element is mineable, but it's rare. It's a rare instance, and also I think Extinction. There's also a chance for you to get element in the drops as well.
What element
where you
dust?
get
I
attacked.
thought in Extinction.
No, we never did it, but we were going to. There was a raid drop where you got attacked by waves upon waves of corrupted dinos, and if you completed it, you got rewards, and element was a part of that.
Okay, so nowadays you can get element a little bit easier. You don't
On
have to
certain maps.
Yeah, you
maps.
don't have to boss battle because you can get it. You can get it out of tech animals, which is fine, but it's still going to take some time.
You would have to find a lot
element
of
dust
animals to
Yeah.
And some tech animals are rarer than others. Let's not mention the tech rex. That's a rarer occurrence. The tech stego isn't easy to find. The easiest one to find is the tech parasaur.
And that sometimes can be a pain in the ass to try and find one.
Because they run away from you straight away.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I would say the easiest ones to find are tech stegos.
Yeah, they do tend to, and of course when you attack them, they don't run away straight away.
No, but tech stegos depends what map you're on. It depends if someone messed with the settings.
Well, yes. We did have that one map where tech was very easy to find.
Yes.
In fact, finding an organic creature was the hard part. Mentioning no names.
But anyway,
we digress
again. Yeah.
Random tangents.
So basically, thatch is your first protection, which you can't really ignore because when you first start the game, you need it.
The first thing you learn, yeah.
It's the first thing you learn. So, because in like when Genesis Part 1 came along, all I was trying to do, because I grind from day one, all I was trying to do was to put a thatch foundation down. And those bloody, gnats, whatever they were, I didn't have the opportunity to put it down. Luckily, Rachel came on and she was transferring, so she had the suit, so she managed to put it down. But
which didn't work at first.
It didn't work at first, no. But
the server owner couldn't get the commands to work, the service settings to work.
But anyway, that's a technical issue of whatever. But anyway, basically the thatch is your first protection.
Yeah, it is.
And you do need it. So don't just. So if as soon as you can build thatch, build a square, and the first thing a 4x2 maybe, or 2x2 or whatever.
No,
and then after that, the first and after that, the first thing you got to build is a bed. That is the most important thing.
Yep, a bed is always good. The minute you've got some form of protection, you need a bed. So the next time you die, you don't have to run halfway around the map.
And believe me, if you're grinding and you haven't got many dodos about, a bed can be pretty hard to make.
Damn it, you're organic.
Because it's the thing you need, because you die and you have to go back and get your stuff off, blah, blah, blah. So the first thing you need is the bed, so you stop. If you do die again, at least you can spawn on your bed, and you don't lose anything as much.
Yeah.
So So
Yeah.
the thatch is just as important when you first join the game. But there are some instances where you can bypass wood and probably go straight to stone. You don't
Yeah,
have to.
I've seen people do that.
You don't have to do wood. And to be fair, wood can be quite expensive if you're on your own
Wood
doing
is
it by
quite
hand.
expensive. More expensive than stone, or it feels like it anyway.
Yeah, it does. The foundations are just a ridiculous amount of wood. 80 wood, I think, in it, a foundation, if I remember right.
Well, let's check the old craft. Wood foundations. So a wooden foundation will set you back 80 wood, 20 thatch, and 15 fibre.
And you generally can't carry that much when you're that level anyway.
Where a stone foundation will set you back 80 stone, 30 thatch, and 40 wood.
But you get a lot more stone out of a rock than you would out of a tree.
And let's be fair, stone is a lot more resilient
Yes.
than wood is. So I have seen people ditch the wood phase and go straight to stone. Those people have repaired their house a lot.
Yeah. But I can't imagine anybody's been grinding and they've bypassed thatch and gone straight to wood, because wow, there must be there's no way they could stay alive to do that.
Ark is a pretty thankless game.
Yeah.
You know, staying alive for a while is hard work unless you stick mainly to the coastlines. But even that's not guaranteed to save your bacon.
Yeah. And yes, that's materials to build out of, but generally, glass doesn't tend to fit like you think glass would fit. There's always gaps.
Glass is a nice material, yes.
Until you put something with it. If you put wood with it, then it becomes an issue.
Wood, it seems to fit well with stone.
Yeah.
Stone and glass seem to fit well together.
I always thought glass and tech seems to go quite well.
I wouldn't know. I've tried stone and I've tried metal and
no
glass.
one would know other than me about that one.
I've tried metal and glass, and that seems to work well. But the problem is the metal against the glass just doesn't look very appealing, in my opinion. So it was a very short-lived experiment.
Well, I've got metal Mickey and it's got glass on it. But I tend to use glass as a part of the roofing and like a false floor. I use glass then.
I enjoy false floors, ceilings, and that's of course the most reason most of you will be using glass would be for the greenhouse effect.
Yeah,
so obviously
which
if you
is
put your plants.
Its original title is greenhouse.
Yeah, it's not actually called glass; it's called greenhouse.
But you don't have to build a greenhouse out of all glass.
No, you can just use the ceilings.
You can
just use ceilings. Yeah, you can build a stone wall. You can build 4 stone walls and just have a glass ceiling, and you get the same effect.
Yeah.
How that is, I do not know, but hey ho.
And in fact, you don't even need to use the greenhouse things at all. You can just use the tech pot plots now.
Well,
yes.
Of course. But...
yeah. But you got to be level 100 to use them. I would have thought you'd like to be growing stuff before level 100.
Let's be fair, if you're not growing stuff before then, how on earth are you taming anything? Have you tried grabbing archberries by hand? Even when you get your hands on a berry picker, it's still a very exhausting process. But yeah,
And
glass
just looking at your tech building here, Jacob.
was tech building.
Yes, the big red thing. The
Big
back
red
end
one,
of
yeah.
it. That is my issue with tech. That one thing there.
I'm not actually there. I've been flying around the map.
Oh, you're
do
flying
the
around the
tour.
map. You're here, William, aren't you?
I'm here. What are we looking at? The fact that every now and again a wall peers through it.
No. If you look around the back here,
Around the back.
or water side, shall we say?
Waterfront property.
Yes.
Just to say, on the tour, I am
Right.
about to be returning to the base, so I can
Right.
see this issue.
You see that strikingly obvious different wall?
Oh yeah.
I'm sure it's a mistake on the snap that I missed, but
And
yeah.
yes, and the snap. That is my issue with tech.
Yes, but
It's
Danny,
a
you are a
mistake
bit
that can
OCD.
happen on any of the walls now.
You are a little
Yeah,
bit
but-
OCD.
But with tech, it stands out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, because they're both on both sides. They're different. It's the
Yeah.
only wall on Ark that's different on both sides. With
No,
Atlas, it happens
wood
on
is
all of
different
them.
on both sides.
No,
Wood is darker
Oh.
one side and lighter on the other.
I don't build with the others anymore to notice.
And yeah, no, wood is different on this. Either
no,
face.
it's different as well, is it not? Because don't you have the wooden, like...
Yes,
Ah,
yes, stone is
yeah.
different as well.
Stone is different, yes, but I only know that now because I've built recently in stone.
Adobe is the same. Metal is the same.
Is metal the same?
Yeah, metal's the same.
I haven't built in metal for a long
Well, that's
time.
a first I've never seen on Ark.
What have you found?
There are sharks attacking each other.
Yeah, sharks are carnivorous by nature.
I'm aware of
Even
that.
cannibalistic.
Anyway.
Sorry, I got distracted.
I digress. Jacob got distracted while doing the video.
Was that shiny?
So- Sorry.
Sounds like me when I go out on Atlas.
So, have we covered the building materials?
Well, let's think about it. First will be thatch, which is weak but easy to make. Next is wood, which is slightly
quite
stronger,
strong. It is quite
but
strong.
but more expensive. Then we move on to stone, which is very strong and slightly cheaper than wood. At least you don't need fibre anyway. Next, you'll be building in metal.
Or
if you
Adobe.
want to get- or
Is-
Adobe.
Is it Adobe first?
Yeah, I think stone and Adobe are essentially the same thing, aren't they? They're just the Adobe has the cooling properties in it.
And not to forget, Adobe was added for Scorched Earth, so you will have to purchase the DLC in order to use Adobe.
Yes.
You cannot get it any other way.
You can't use Adobe without the DLC on another map.
Yeah, and then obviously, metal would be the next stage, which is not as expensive as you think it would be, but it's definitely a later game build.
It actually goes Adobe, then stone.
Does it?
Yes.
Is Adobe weaker than stone, is it? I
Must
thought
be.
they were roughly... Oh, fair enough. And then obviously there's tech, which we've already talked to great lengths about tech.
Yes. And how much we
Oh,
hate it.
Hang on a minute. It's just to clarify on what Danny was saying, because I'm now here. It is the right way. It's just not in the right position.
Snap
Are
point.
you
So it does match. It just and it's the right way with all the others. It's just not in the right position.
Details. Attention to detail, Jacob.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that point with everyone who's watching. Now that I'm here.
And glass is
Sorry.
mainly for greenhouses and making things look pretty, but
Yes.
it does have a gap problem. Which
Yes,
if you're OCD
especially
like
if you
Danny,
use
then
especially if you try the triangles roofing.
yeah,
It does.
Yes.
If you use it if you make a sort of top roof tower out of the triangles,
Yes.
it doesn't fit.
Yes, I was just about to say we can't really talk about structures without mentioning Structures Plus, or what it was called back then, the Homestead
Structures
update,
Plus,
which came to console after extinction along with Volcaro. This added several new structures that made a lot of things easier for high walls, to reduce rendering as you approach a base, and also helps to save on construction. Triangle shaped ceilings and foundations, as we just mentioned, to build circles, hexagons, or other cool things. Creatively speaking, I think Homestead really changed a lot of things, of course. And I was going to save this for the next Dark News episode, but I think I'll mention it in this one because I think it's relevant. There is talk of a building TLC happening, which should add more things.
Is it the castle one that everyone's been lobbying for?
No, this is them.
Castle keeps
not
and forts.
This isn't adding a mod. This is them fixing more long-term problems for building. This isn't them reworking it into an Atlas-based system. This is them fixing things for building that are an issue in a TLC-based update. So like the mammoths and the stegos and the insects and things, but focused on building.
There is one thing we haven't mentioned. That's the building materials in Primitive Plus.
Yes, because they are different.
They are different.
True, Primitive Plus. We did have a strike at Primitive Plus for a bit, didn't we?
Yes, we did. And it was better, I think.
It certainly gave more interest in, and there was prettier buildings.
Yeah, pretty buildings.
Someone remind me, why was it different?
Why was it different?
I can't remember why.
It was basically different. Castles, keeps, and forts, and it was more. It was more. Instead of you had no tech, did you? You had no firearms.
You couldn't get tech.
You couldn't get tech. You couldn't get firearms. So it was all bow and arrows, swords, and stuff like that. And therefore you had no machines. So you only had basically a forge. That was probably the limit, I think, wasn't it? The forge.
Yeah, you could get a forge.
You could have you could get electrical things. It was. I remember I struggled.
No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't get electrical, Jacob.
It went up to electrical, because I'm vaguely familiar with Primitive Plus. So it does go up to electrical, but that's about the limit on Primitive Plus.
I can't remember it going to electrical.
I can't remember it going to electrical, but
I think it does go up to electrical.
How can it go up to electrical if it's primitive?
But anyway,
it
had things like bricks and things like that, didn't it?
And yeah, you constructed bricks, and you had a different sort of way of making armor with the leather and stuff like that, and
it was a lot more detailed version.
It was a lot more detailed, but it was limited to the range it could do.
Yeah.
But the annoying part of it, I found, was that you couldn't lay on the bed.
Yeah, you couldn't lay on the bed.
You couldn't lay on the bed.
Do yourself a lovely bed. You couldn't never lay it.
Yeah, you could lay on it. But no, it was. I enjoyed Primitive. Not sure it would work for what we wanted, but yeah, I enjoyed Primitive just because it was a change from Ark, basically.
So I enjoyed Primitive as well because it did shake up the old Ark.
Yeah, and if I remember, wasn't the snap points a lot easier as well? If I remember rightly.
The snap points seem to be a lot easier, yeah. Things seem to snap together easier anyway.
I think so. But I think they're looking to add things like that with this, so they're adding to make things like snap points and things like that easier. So they're adding, but they can't. Essentially speaking, there's no big rework happening. That's what's happening for Arc 2. So the whole big rework for Arc 2 will happen, but this is a sort of what they could potentially add for now that would be a...
All I can say for a bit of advice for a new player is basically don't build a huge building right from the get-go, because you can't do it. Just building stages.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
modular build. So obviously you start
builds.
with the essentials, and as you need to expand out.
Yeah. But,
I mean, where we are now has been expanded. I mean, the yellow house was the first one, and then it grew from there.
But if you can find a flat area, because if you haven't got any admin codes, you won't be able to build into rocks or build into the landscape. So you've got to be a bit careful, because the foundations you put down, if you're like on a beach, which is probably the easiest place to build to keep alive,
probably the safest as well.
Safest. If you build on a beach, what happens when you get to the edge of the sand and it goes into water? Suddenly it sort of drops into the water everywhere. There's no gradual; it just drops into the water. But that then affects your foundation, because you get to that point and you can't put a foundation down, because the foundation will only go to a certain height. There's no stacking of foundations.
No.
Yet.
Although I get around that point with pillars. I tend to build pillars rather than foundations.
Yes,
it's slightly more expensive, but
then you get the ugly pillars with the ceilings.
And if you remember those days of thatch, when you build on a thatch ceiling on a pillar to make a floor, the thatch ceiling sits above your foundations.
Yeah, but if you build all
so when you put the walls up, when you put the walls up, the wall joined to that ceiling is higher than the rest of them.
Yeah, but as I said, if you build all in pillars,
no,
it's sort of a thing. You have got to build in foundations and take the limitations of you've got to find yourself somewhere flat, or you build in pillars, but know that if you try to incorporate foundations, it's not going to work as well.
Yeah, you can't.
You
can mix and match. You can mix match, but it's not advisable.
I mean, I tend to find if I'm doing that, I'll put down a foundation and then I'll make sure the edges are ceilinged if I'm doing that. That's the best way to do it. Yeah. But if you've got one, as you said, if you've got one foundation or one ceiling, then that wall will be either lower or higher than the surrounding walls.
My advice for new players would be always use the fence foundations to keep your dinosaur gates straight. That's my biggest flaw is the straightness of dinosaur gates.
The only problem with that,
believe me, if they're not straight, I'll pull them down.
Yeah, we have Danny
It has been known. It has been known. That is a true fact of life. That if my dinosaur gates are not straight, they've been pulled down.
Bye, Danny.
You build them straight.
It's true, but you know, it's a fact of life. And to be fair, I was educated very well in the building of dinosaur gates, so. I did try.
Because you keep pulling them down.
You kept pulling them down because you could never get them straight.
Yeah, I do try. Oh, the other one
Oh,
is
well, how
make
many
sure all
did
your
I
walls.
put up for you, if I remember rightly? Yeah, go on.
That's true. The other one is make sure all your walls are snapped the right way round so they all match, because that's another one that gets pulled up a lot.
Yes.
Again, it all depends on how OCD your community
Tribe
is.
owners are, or surfer owners are, how finicky they are. You know, you never know when they might come over and do a building inspection. I've already,
Oh.
probably after this video, I've already got to go up and sort out that wall.
Yep.
That'll be next video. I'll probably make sure I do a highlight and check. You'll go and see that. I'll go and say, oh yeah, that wall's now correct. You'll see.
Done our building
I'm sure there's
inspector.
something else wrong somewhere.
Yeah, I'll probably have to go and sort that out.
Well, no, you are going to sort that out.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Anyone
it's
else
coming
got
down.
It's coming
Yeah.
down again.
Anyone else got any other tips they want to add?
No, I think we've covered most tips.
A lot. We've covered a lot. I mean, I'm gonna double check. We talked about all the effects. Otherwise, we don't want to miss anything. Tick. We covered greenhouse. Did we talk about Adobe? Did we say it can shield?
We talked about Adobe in length, mate.
We did mention that Adobe can shield you from the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because it was primarily brought for Scorched.
Yep, that
That's
has
fine.
been mentioned.
As long as we said it, that's fine.
But just in case anybody missed it, Adobe can shield you from the sun. Happy?
Yeah, that's fine. I like to mention these things. It's important.
And Adobe
And
is Adobe on Scorched is a lot easier to build on Scorched than it is any other map.
Yes, although it is available on Ragnarok, but you do have to purchase Scorched Earth first.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's available on every other map. You just have to purchase Scorched first.
Yeah, once you've got Scorched, you can get it on any map. But unless you're planning to build in a deserty area, you're going to find it very hard to build Adobe.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because unlike cementing paste, no creature makes it for you in the wild, unfortunately.
Right.
No.
Oh, you're
That's
listening, Wildcard.
More deserts. All right then. So
No,
that's everything
a creature
for this.
that makes it for you, like cementing paste.
Oh, that would be a good idea. Maybe they're planning to do that for because there's still one more creature to come for
I think
Lost
they've
Island,
forgotten
'cause
about
there's
Adobe, to be fair, mate.
You never know what's coming next with Lost Island, because we've got 4 creatures. There's still one more to come, so you never know what could happen. So that's everything for this episode of Arc Highlights. We thought to check out the next episode of Arc Highlights. Funnily enough, a look at tech creatures.
Oh, God.
Also be sure to check out episode 21 of Arc News, Community Crunch, the Community Crunch Roundup.
And
Also,
remember, people, there will be a Let's Play coming, hosted by me.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, well, I got in there first.
Yeah, I was going to plug it for you.
I might sneak in somewhere.
Yes, somewhere. If you have any questions on anything about today's video or anything Arc related, please comment below. Make sure to hit the notification bell, ding, to stay up to date with the latest videos. Make sure to subscribe for more Arc news and content. And see you next time, survivors.
Bye.
Bye.